We'll be passing through the cabin to make sure you're ready for departure. You can help us by making sure your seatbelt's fastened, seat back tray table still don't carry, and items are put away. Smoking excluded. The use of electronic cigarettes is never allowed on any JetBlue flight. Tampering with the table or destroying a smoke detector in our aircraft pressures is federal offense and it will result in fine.
Hey guys, so thanks for checking out my Cuba video. To start off, I just want to say that this isn't meant to be any type of professional advice or anything like that. This is just, the 3 days of Cuba through my experience. As far as the budget was concerned, Laura and I came up with a number in our heads for the 3 days that we were going, which was $700. As far as booking the flights, we got 2 round trips through JetBlue. A lot of people get worried about, how am I going to get the insurance or how am I going to get the visa. When we first got to the airport, we got the insurance and the visa at the desk. So for anyone that's concerned about, not knowing where to get the visa, you get it at the desk. Unfortunately, because of our busy schedules, we were only able to go to Cuba for 3 days, which was 2 days that were in Varadero and the 1 day in Havana, which definitely was not enough time. There are so many different things to do and to see that, 1 day in Havana just wasn't enough. I wish we would have had more time to check out more of this stuff. There's, Old Havana. In Havana Vieja, there is a plaza of, tons of dressed up shops and cafes, which is one spot I recommend anybody who's going to check out. When you go to Cuba, make sure you bring cash. Our credit cards or our debit cards do not work in Cuba in their ATM machines, and they also don't have internet like we do. You can't transfer funds, you can't do any of that. So bring the cash that you are going to bring with, as much as you need, you have to bring with you. And then once you land in the airport, you'll go to the currency exchange desk, and that's where you could turn your American money into Cuban pesos. As far as the old cars and the taxis are concerned, probably 2 out of every 3 cars are one of the old 1950s, 1960s pre-embargo American cars. So a lot of the locals, their vehicle will be one of these cars. They dial it up and get it all dressed up nice, and usually they don't have the stock engine, obviously, and they either rent them out or you could just use them as a taxi. The classic car taxis are a lot more expensive than just a regular yellow taxi, so I would recommend you not using them for every ride, but it is a cool experience to sit in the back of a 1955, Chevy with the top down, just riding through the streets of Cuba. It's a cool experience for sure. When you're in Cuba, there'll be a lot of people, a lot of the locals will come up to you, and the reason for that is, they're pretty much, they're essentially stuck in Cuba. It's very hard for them to get a visa to leave the country. So a lot of people will come up to you, confront you. Don't avoid them. They're all really nice people. So don't think they're just trying to, harass you. They're just very interested in Americans, and they want to know about you. When I was there, so many of them would come up to me and say, where are you from? And I say, Estados Unidos, United States. And they're like, oh, United States, I have family in Miami, family in California, and they just love hearing about it. So if somebody comes up to you, don't brush it off. Don't say no, thank you. Just talk to them, say hi, and get to know them a little bit. As fun and as interesting as this trip was, you still got to remember that most of this population in Cuba lives in poverty. They're all relatively poor, and you got to remember it's a dictatorship. So whether if you're from America or some other country that's has a lot more freedoms than they do, you got to remember that. As far as the population goes, there is a mix. There's like the European, Spanish type of people. There is the Cuban, the Spanish people, and then there is the Africans, because Cuba was once a slave nation. They had slaves, and over time, as slavery was abolished, which, by the way, they have a lot of praise for Abraham Lincoln, because he was involved obviously with the emancipation of slaves. So over the years, the Spanish mix and the European mix and the African mix, they blended together a lot of their cultures, and so you see a big mix of them racially and culturally. When you do go to Havana or anywhere in Cuba, I do recommend staying in a casa particular or a house. Stay with the locals, get to know them. Obviously it's nice to stay in a hotel, and some people think they feel a little bit more safe, but in my experience, the people were very friendly. They love getting to know us, and they are very helpful. And also, while doing that, staying in a house, you're helping a local business. You're helping them make money in a country where most of the population makes about $50 a month. So we spent 3 days in Cuba. We flew out on Thursday and we came back on Sunday. So our trip to Cuba, we flew into Havana, which for us from Fort Lauderdale was a 35-minute flight, and then from there we took the 2-hour taxi ride, which ran us about $100 to Veradero. which is a peninsula. It's very touristy. You know, a lot of Europeans and stuff like that were there. It's not, if you're going to Cuba to be in with the locals and learn about the culture, I don't think Veradero is the place to go. It's not, you know, very culture-esque at all. So after the 2 days there we had 1 day left, which we went to Havana. In Havana we stayed in a casa particular, which is, you know, essentially we got it through Airbnb. So, you know, a local there rented us the house. And obviously, as far as making a video is concerned, there are so many different points that, you know, I wish I was able to make in terms of, you know, educating you in Cuba, but we didn't have enough time to really, you know, get a bearing on everything and learn as much as we would have liked to. But as far as what I've told you now, this is just all information that I learned through my 3 days there that I'd like to pass off to you guys in case you want to go check out Cuba. It was such a great time. All the people were incredible, great food, and I would love to go back. So thanks for checking out my Cuba video. If you liked it, please leave me a comment or leave me a like, and if you're not subscribed already, definitely hit that subscribe button for more videos. I'm hoping to get a lot more travel videos coming in soon, but on that note, thank you very much for checking out my channel, and I'll see you